So this video is going to be about the mistress and her connection to Hazelbrook Sober Living Center. This is something that I've always been interested in and intrigued by because of the whole Venmo transaction between Hazelbrook and the mistress. For people who've been following this case for a long time, you already know what I'm talking about. But if you are new to this case, let me explain. Okay, guys, so on July 30th at 4:59 p.m., the mistress made a phone call to Hazelbrook Sober Living Center. She spoke to someone for 22 minutes. What's interesting is that prior to calling the center, she spoke with Chris for 8 minutes. Then, after she's done speaking with someone from Hazelbrook, she calls Chris and leaves him a voicemail. Chris does return the call and he speaks with her for 39 minutes. So it's just interesting that before she speaks to Hazelbrook, she talks to Chris, and then right after she's talking to Chris. What's also interesting is just a little bit later, she does talk to her friend Jim, but only for 4 minutes. Then on July 31st, Chris leaves to North Carolina to go reunite with his family. So, for people that are new to the case, you might be wondering, well, what's the big deal if she's talking to this Hazelbrook Sober Living Center and then she talks to Chris, vice versa? And the thing that's interesting is that there's a book by Sherilyn Cato, and it has letters that Chris wrote, and it's in his own writing. And in one of those letters, he admitted that he had given Shanann oxy while in North Carolina in hopes she would miscarry. So there are some people who don't believe that. There's some people that think that's not true. But I personally believe it because before Chris admitted that in the book, I had never thought anything about Chris giving Shanann any type of oxy. We do have the Google search in the discovery where Chris looks up oxy, but there's no date for that and there's no explanation or anything. So it's kind of like, okay, maybe him and the mistress were doing oxy. I mean, who knows, right? Then we have the Venmo transaction. This is public information. It is not private. If you go on a Venmo account, you can see people that you follow on your Facebook or that you have on your contacts on your phone. You can see all of their Venmo transaction. You can type a name and see all their Venmo transactions unless they have their settings to private. But Nicole Kessinger and these people that you see here didn't have it private. It was public, so everybody was able to see it. While back in the days when this came about in the Facebook groups, someone had shared it, and you can see that Hazelbrook paid Nicole on 6/2 for a B-Day cabin. And we know that the mistress went away for her birthday for that weekend. So it would make sense that, as you can see, people are paying her for the cabin in the mountains. So because of the phone call to Hazelbrook prior to Chris leaving North Carolina and then the Venmo transaction to her, this left a lot of people to speculate, and rumors and opinions were flying high. And some of the things that were being said was Nicole's mom possibly worked at the center, that she dated someone at the center, that she herself was a resident at that center because she was addicted to, she had an alcohol problem. And there was just so many things being said because of this. I don't think the mom worked at that center. Is it possible that she dated or had a friend in the center? Yes. Is it possible that she herself was a resident there at one time in her life? That is possible, but it would be hard to find that information because it is private. Her communication with Hazelbrook didn't end there. On August 17th, after the murder, she called the center and talked to someone for 14 minutes. Keep in mind, this is just 2 days after Chris had confessed to murdering Shanann and was arrested. Then on August 22nd at 10 a.m., she gets an incoming call from someone from Hazelbrook, and she speaks to them for 13 minutes. August 26th at 6:29 p.m., she gets another incoming call, and that lasted 7 minutes, and again from Hazelbrook Sober Living Center. And then lastly, on August 28th at 8:21 p.m., she gets an incoming call from the center, and that call lasted 4 minutes. So people assumed she was getting ready to check herself back into the rehab, possibly because then if she thought Chris would go to trial, some people have said that she would put herself in the rehab and then she wouldn't be called in as a witness. Now, the place for this Hazelbrook Sober Living Center, it is on their website, and they have a Facebook and they also have an Instagram. It's public. Please don't go harass anybody on there. But they also have a website, and for their center, it says Hazelbrook Sober Living and Recovery is a recovery gem and an award-winning sober living and recovery program in the Denver metro area of Colorado. We pride ourselves on providing lasting recovery for drugs and alcohol. It is a place of new habits, new friends, and new beginnings. It is a place where people can feel safe and supported so they can be free to grow physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Recovery from addiction is difficult, and it is absolutely critical to surround yourself with a strong and positive support system. We have homes for men and women, and then it just says give us a call. So whether you believe she was going to check herself in rehab or not is up to you. I also tracked this number for Hazelbrook to a young man named Jano, totally saying that wrong. But his mom is also connected to Hazelbrook. She runs their Facebook account and I believe the Instagram account. And then when I looked up the LLC for Hazelbrook, it was opened on May 5th of 2017, and the registered owner for them has the same last name as this young man and his mother. So this is run by this family that the mistress was having contact with over the phone. Also on August 4th, the mistress made a phone call at 8:36 a.m. to the mother. Her name is Sasha, and they had a 2-minute conversation. And I still wanted to know what the connection was to the mistress and this young man and his mother. And so I went back to Nicole's high school. We know she went to Eagle Crest. And I went and looked at the year 2006 to cross-reference his name to see if possibly he went there and they knew each other. And sure enough, his name did pop up right next to none other than Nicole's sister, Stephanie Kessinger. So now it makes sense, the Venmo transaction we see for 6/2, how Hazelbrook paid Nicole for the cabin, B-Day cabin. I believe that it was this young man who is friends with the mistress from high school, and he paid her through Hazelbrook because one, his family owns it, and they're friends, and he probably went and hung out with her on her birthday. And again, all the information I provided you guys is all public information, and it's just a simple Google search. So what do you guys think? Do you think the mistress is the one who supplied Chris with the oxy? And is that why he originally said he would take it to his grave who gave it to him? Do you think Chris and the mistress were doing drugs together? And do you think she was possibly thinking about checking herself into this rehab center in a way of protecting herself from having to go to trial and be a witness? I did talk to my friend who works for Los Angeles Sheriff Department, and he told me that even though you're in a rehab center, it doesn't protect you from the law. He says they can get a subpoena or a warrant to talk to you, to have you go talk to them. Something else I was reading is how protective residents are of one another in rehab centers. especially when it comes to dealing with the police. And just think about it, still to this day, no, not one of her friends have come forward to say anything bad about her or anything good. So that's going to wrap up this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And make sure you guys are kind to one another. We are all going through enough BS in the world. We don't need no added hate. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys all soon. Bye.